Welcome back to News Talk. We turn now to efforts by the ultra-rich Koch brothers to keep tabs on their rivals on the American left. You know the Koch brothers are active in elections and in organizing to help right-wing causes and candidates, but their new focus is generating comparisons to the CIA. Kenneth Vogel is chief investigative reporter at Politico. He is the author of Big Money, $2.5 billion, one suspicious vehicle and a pimp on the trail of the ultra-rich hijacking of American politics. Good to have you back. Thanks very much for your time.
Hey, great to be with you as always, Bruce.
You have a story up on Politico.com right now that details in a way that I don't think anyone has before what the Koch brothers are doing with some of their billions, and I suspect this has folks on the left talking right now.
It certainly does, and it was very revealing to kind of pull back the curtain on this, as we call it, Koch intelligence agency. It's they call it competitive intelligence, and it's basically an effort, as you said in the intro, to keep tabs on what liberals, and we're talking about unions, labor unions, environmental groups, Democratic campaigns, Democratic Party committees, big money Democratic organizations are doing to rally voters, to build databases, basically their political efforts. The reason why the Koch started this is after 2012, when the Koch really started spending a lot of money in politics, they determined, obviously the results of the 2012 election were not to their liking. Barack Obama won re-election, Democrats kept the Senate, and they determined, hey, we got outmaneuvered by the left, so we need to counter what the left is doing, but in order to counter it, we need to know what they're doing in real time. That's what this intelligence effort is about.
Now, folks on both ends of the political spectrum have always done what they could to keep tabs on the other, a lot of it very informal or ad hoc, seat of the pants. You're talking, correct me if I'm wrong, about some of the ways that technology empowers a new era, if you will, of kind of keeping track of your political rivals, and with resources, you've got not just the potential, but the ability to do this in a way that maybe has never been done before.
That's right. It bears a lot of similarities to what you see in the corporate world. Corporations, though they don't talk about this a whole lot, are very aggressive and very methodical about trying to keep track of what they deem to be threats. That could be threats from inside, which is something that the Kochs do. They are looking at their own employees and within their network for potential leakers or moles. And then outside, they are looking at liberal groups. They are looking at potential rivals even on the right. So this is the way that companies approach, and we hear the term thrown around, corporate espionage. They would probably, these corporations who do this would reject this, as would the Kochs in their political efforts. But in a lot of ways, they have attempted over the years to infuse their political efforts with some of the tools and techniques that they use so effectively in the corporate world. This is just yet another arrow in that quiver.
Are you able to describe in any detail what your reporting yielded in terms of examples, things that people could try to wrap their brain around in terms of just how much tracking, if that's the best term, is going on by the Koch brothers, their allies, and maybe, as far as we know, speculatively on the left in the other direction as well?
Oh, we do know that it is going on, but some of the specific examples that I think the Kochs have sort of taken to a new level include using geodata embedded in social media posts. These are like when you take a selfie of yourself and you put it up on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. There's actually data in there if you have the geodata functions on your phone not disabled. In other words, if you have not actively done something to prevent this from happening, you can use that photo to say, oh, Bruce is in South Carolina. And so they're looking at some of these liberal activists, union organizers in particular, literally tracking their movements to find out where they are. And the effort here is to figure out where they are doing on the ground organizing of voters or activists or canvassing, stuff like that, so they can determine if it's in an area, in a district, in a race where they want to be active. Hey, there's a mass of union organizers who are in South Carolina right now in the 1st district. That's a race that we care about. We need to decide right now whether we want to send our own organizers there to try to offset what liberals are doing. That's one thing. Another thing that they do is actually send people to some of these canvassing events to try to see what the tactics the left is using in these given places, up to and including trying to figure out their walk books, which doors they're knocking on, trying to figure out the techniques that they're using, if they're using like an iPad-based walk route mapping program. This is something that they want to know about, both to determine in real time, do we need to counter this? And then also to refine their own techniques. Is this something the left is doing better than we're doing? And we might want to copy and mimic it. So it's defensive and it's offensive.
Some of this will sound creepy, but I suppose this is what you get when we're all so plugged in, we're all so wired. We're using apps and other things that we know a lot about, but we don't know everything about. And sometimes when we enable a feature or fail to disable a feature, we're getting the benefits of it, but we're leaving ourselves vulnerable to things that others might do that we might never have anticipated or wouldn't anticipate until we read stories like yours, where we're able to put together some of the pieces in a new way, even though there's a significant chance we won't like where all this leads us.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's corporations that are taking advantage of this to try to sell you things. There are the government, for instance, is trying to.
If you're walking down the street and you walk past a pizza place, there's a chance in terms of what the technology will allow, that you'll get a coupon on your phone for the pizza place you just walked past, because they know where you are and who doesn't like pizza, right?
And in the political realm, where you see this in maybe a more overt way, noticeable way, is if you're on Facebook or you're on one of these apps and a political campaign in that district is trying to target voters, then they'll be able to target an ad directly to you. But from the Koch's perspective, what was so interesting to me about this competitive intelligence operation and learning about it was that it really revealed the breadth of their ambitions. They're not just trying to go in and win an election, or they're not just trying to target a congressman on a given issue. They are really trying to fundamentally change the way that American politics works. Tactically, philosophically, they want to reorient it around these small government, fiscal conservative views. And so they see this as a very long game, and they want to make sure that they have the best tactics to be able to advance that goal, and they want to make sure that the other side is not undercutting their efforts more effectively than they are pursuing them.
You referenced 2012 a second ago. Can you remind us, and maybe talk in a little bit more detail about what 2008 and 2012 represented in terms of the use of technology in a way that really represented something that, if you're in this world, was kind of exciting and new, not so exciting, but not so great for the people who found themselves on the losing side. But in terms of the evolution of the science of targeting and getting voters to the polling place, et cetera, I mean, 08 and 12 were significant in this way.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. And actually, Barack Obama and his presidential campaign, was really at the cutting edge of this back in 2008 and 2012. 2008, if you remember, it's just so crazy to think about how far this has advanced in just less than 8 years. Mm-hmm. But in 2008, Obama actually tried to create his own social media platform. It was called mybo.com, which is sort of an unfortunate acronym, but nonetheless was an attempt to create sort of his own Facebook. And while you would think, now, why would you compete with Facebook? That's crazy. So many people are on Facebook. At the time, it was actually deemed to be very effective in mobilizing his voters. In 2012, they kind of dropped this and were very effective at using Facebook and some of the tools on Facebook, including stuff that did strike some people as creepy, that they would go through and essentially comb your Facebook feed. They would ask for permission when you signed up to like Obama to see the cookies on your app, and they would see who you were tagging in your photos, so that they could determine, oh, this person is a persuadable voter. The person who liked BarackObama.com or the Facebook app of Obama, they're already on board, but look, they are tagging these other people who maybe we could reach by sending them message to get them to post on their Facebook feeds, and that was very advanced at the time. In 2016, we're going to see way more advanced stuff.
All of this on the theory that the people we choose to associate with in our personal lives, our friends, et cetera, are likely, not guaranteed, but likely to share our political views, and therefore, if Mary likes us, then Mary's friend may like us. And
that she would be susceptible to a message, impressionable to a message from Mary. It's kind of taking old-fashioned retail politics of getting your friends to knock on people's doors and bring it into the digital age.
Digital door knocking, a great analogy. Ken Vogel, Chief Investigative Reporter at Politico. He is the author of Big Money, published by Public Affairs. Thanks very much for being with us today. Always great having you here.
Pleasure, Bruce.
Back with more News Talk in a moment.